Welcome back. I'm Lara Jaye, and you are listening to the Wisdom Within podcast. And on today's episode, we are talking about the energy of words. As a reminder, this season 1 is all an overview of my newest book, The Wisdom Within, Cracking the Secrets of Meaning, Purpose, and Security. And in it, I weave all kinds of personal stories with guidance, providing you with a roadmap to unlock your own inner potential and find greater meaning and security within yourself. Let's get right into our show today on the energy of words. It is from chapter 4 of this book. And I don't know if you know this, but words are actually spells, and they hold an energy that is very quite alive. Words aren't only a combinations of letters, they carry an energy that can profoundly impact us. They hold the power to inspire, uplift, and heal, but also to harm, wound, and destroy. Now, the energy of words is often underestimated, but when we understand and can harness their power, we can use them to create amazing positive change in our lives and even the people around us. So words are an energy in that they carry vibrations and frequencies that can affect our thoughts, emotions, and even our physical well-being. Words emit an energy. It can be felt and experienced almost like sound waves or electromagnetic waves. This is evident in how certain words can evoke strong emotions in us, such as love, joy, anger, or sadness. Many of us may have even experienced praying for someone and hearing from them acknowledging they thought of you or felt your prayers. Now, prayer is mighty because it's such a focused intention of words, thought, and emotion, usually wrapped in gratitude. The person you are praying for often thinks of you or feels an extra touch of love. And the opposite of prayer is a negative focused intention of thought and emotion. We feel those as well. That saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is actually dead wrong. Words can and do hurt. Energetically, when I'm working on a client, I often see psychic daggers in people's energy fields. Some are small, some are large. And when someone has envy, jealousy, or is frankly just plain talking about us, it creates daggers in our energy fields. And if you're the one on the receiving end, you might not feel good, or your back hurts, or your stomach hurts for no reason. And have you ever heard that saying, I felt stabbed in the back? This is where that comes from. I personally have been awakened from a deep sleep feeling someone's energetic stab in my back. Words are an energy. They're a vibration directed at someone or even yourself, and it can create a spell. Now, the word spell, S-P-E-L-L, and as in spelling, actually influence the idea of using magic to influence others. Spell and spelling is derived from the before the 19th century word spell, which meant magic, charm, influence, magical powers, and fascination. So whether spoken out loud or in your psyche, words have a vibration that can either encourage and breathe life or do the exact opposite. Not only can our energy field soak up these words, whether our own words about ourselves or others that are talking about us, our bodies can remember things that we may not even remember. In 2001, Dr. Masaru Emoto published a book called The Hidden Messages of Water. You may have heard of it. He explores the idea that the molecular structure of water changes when exposed to human words, thoughts, sounds, and even intentions. Now, this book has had a profound impact on many, many people's lives since it was published. And it continues to inspire us to think differently about the world around us. Now, Dr. Emoto was a Japanese researcher who devoted his life to the study of water. He believed that water wasn't just a physical substance, but it also has a consciousness that can be influenced by human emotions and intentions and words. So he conducted all of these experiments that involved exposing water to different stimuli and observing its molecular structure. That was basically all of his experiments. His work has important implications for our daily lives, since our bodies are mostly made of water. The average human, we're all about 60% water. So by being mindful of our thoughts and emotions, we can positively influence the entire molecular structure of water in our bodies and even the world around us. We can also become more aware of the power of our words and intentions and how they can affect our health and well-being. I personally have a typed written list of positive affirmations that sit under my glass water bottles to charge the water with positive energy each day. I also am quite aware as I wander down the beverage aisle in grocery stores. I'm in awe of the beer, the water, and the other names and labels that are actually promoting very dark, negative words. Angry Orchard, for example. Liquid Death is another one. It has a skull on it. Its website says, "Liquid death, murder your thirst." Don't be scared, it's just water. Don't be scared, it's just water. Murder your thirst, death to plastic. And another brand under them is called Death Dust. Those are just a couple of names that come to mind. They might taste amazing. I can't even get close to touching one, let alone putting that flowing liquid of negativity into my body. All I can think about is those labels and what they're charging the liquid with in the bottle. I can only imagine how people are feeling after they drink it. I would love to know. Would love to do an experiment on that one. And if you have done one, please let me know. Well, in my book, The Wisdom Within, I tell a couple of personal stories about my own body holding the energy of words from others, some that I didn't even remember. So one of the stories I tell is that when I was separated from my husband, I was a hot mess. I'll just say that. I was emotionally and physically sick on most days. I would sit on my couch, stare out the window, dream about a happier life ahead. And I'm going to be honest, I was really depressed. I was very unhealthy, feeling awful about myself, my body. Kids were making bets as to what organ mom was going to get out next. And one afternoon, a gal from our church curiously asked me about my plans since I was getting divorced. And for whatever reason, I blurted out that I loved the southern coastal area near Encinitas and Carlsbad, California. If you've ever been there, you know how amazing and gorgeous it is. It's north of San Diego a bit. So to paraphrase her response with just a bit kinder words, she clarified that I wasn't thin enough to live there. She said it was a different lifestyle than what I was accustomed to in Indiana. And in her opinion, I wasn't the cookie cutter Botox model that would fit in coastal California. Well, I was pretty speechless. Unbeknownst to me, she had moved her family to Indiana from that exact area. And I did not know that. Again, looking back, it's easy to see that she was projecting her own inadequacies and insecurities onto me. She was in the fitness industry, and apparently the burden of being thin and perfect by the California standards was probably just a constant pressure cooker for her. I can only imagine. So here I am. I'm feeling awful about myself. I just shared the most amazing pinnacle location I wanted to live and start over my life, and was told I wasn't good enough, thin enough, or enough in any way, shape, or form to even think of going there. Now, her words reflected the pain she carried every single day in her heart. The pressure to conform into a lifestyle was just too tremendous and unattainable for her. So regardless of why she said what she said, I know that I've moved all over God's green earth except that area because I didn't believe I was good enough. And in my weakness, I received her words into my consciousness, into my body, almost as a mandate that I could never move to that area. And because it was already an open, gaping soul wound for me, her ill word stuck. Now, if I didn't already have a similar trauma imprint, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference. It would have washed right off like water over a duck's back. Now, again, this is a perfect example that words are spells and hold an energy that is alive. Although this church acquaintance may not have meant ill will, their words left their mouth, entered my energy field, and attached to this weak, damaged wound in me. I soaked up their words as a spell, confirming and solidifying that I wasn't good enough. I believe what she was doing and what was happening was something called projection of her own issues onto me. Now, projection is a very common term. So imagine, if you will, a projector on your head, walking around, looking out into the world, projecting our own stuff onto others. So it may show up to us as the other person being rude or selfish, as they talk demeaningly to you. But in reality, you are acting as a mirror. What they are saying to themselves. What we see in others mirrors ourselves. This is quite a concept to grasp. What we see in others mirrors ourselves. Projection is a theory in psychology in which us humans defend ourselves against unconscious impulses or qualities, both positive and negative, by denying their existence in ourselves while attributing these qualities to somebody else. For example, a habitual person may constantly accuse others of being rude, sort of a blame shifting, when in actuality, it's maybe them that is the rude person. Now, projection is quite common in everyday life. It's a clue to how we are doing or what we need to work on. And it mainly happens when we have unprocessed emotions that we don't deal with. So we might be numbing ourselves to hide from these emotions. Eventually, though, I'm going to tell you, it's going to show up. It's going to show up one way or the other. It might show up as anger projected onto somebody else, and usually those we love the most, unfortunately. It's also important that before we blame others for being a certain way or complaining about so-and-so being selfish, we need to look within. You know, these really uncomfortable, embarrassing, and frustrating emotions we don't want to deal with, they're going to appear. You may have heard of Sigmund Freud. He says these emotions are projected onto other people so that other people become carriers of our perceived flaws. Fortunately, or rather unfortunately for us, this form of emotional displacement makes it much easier to live with ourselves because everyone else is responsible for our misery, not us. We are the victim or the good and the righteous person. I'm being facetious. If you notice that you're being triggered by something or someone, I do invite you to look closer inward. We all project in our daily lives to protect ourselves against emotions, thoughts, and perceptions that we judge as being too bad, ugly, shameful, or just uncomfortable. And if you feel like someone is actually projecting their own unresolved hurts onto you, take it from me, telling them isn't ideal. Holding up the mirror to them most likely will be met with just a massive resistance and reactivity that you think you're all that and a bag of chips. So this is one of the problems with projecting our unresolved wounds onto others. It makes us think that we are superior to others. Projecting can create quite a mess because we are not dealing with our feelings in the first place. So managing our emotions is something that should be taught. I believe it should be taught at a very early age. It's just not something that's in schools. I would love to see it in more schools, love to see it in more homes. Instead, what do? We learn how to stuff and numb our emotions as fast as possible. And if there's one thing the world's pandemic taught us is that life is short. We're only here for a really brief time. What is it that you really desire to do? What is it that your soul is craving? Now, the only way The only way to know that for yourself is to become more self-aware. And to become more self-aware, it takes time. Time getting to know yourself, what makes you tick, and especially healing those parts of you that get triggered, healing those parts of us that we want to numb. Much of our work, much of my work with people involves giving up our numbing devices of choice so that we can feel again, so that we can feel those emotions that are screaming to come to the surface. Instead of running to the kitchen for the ice cream or the shot of tequila, what would happen if we sat in the uncomfortableness of what is speaking to us? Well, that takes practice and lots of grace. This is truly, though, the foundation for living the most amazing life ever. It's about getting to know yourself, falling in love with yourself as you are, accepting and loving those parts of you that may seem less than what you think they should be. That's the most beautiful thing you could do for yourself. You may have heard the saying, what we resist persists, and what we focus on expands. Now, we only enlarge the issue when we're constantly telling ourselves we're not worthy or we're not enough. Now, the opposite is loving ourselves. When we show love to something or someone, they soften. That's the exact opposite of resisting. They soften and allow. And I'm sure, like me, you have spoken ill of others and received the daggers of deceit in your own energy field. And at any time, you can repeat this beautiful ancient Hawaiian prayer called the Ho'oponopono. It's a practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. So, what you do is while envisioning the person or circumstance in front of you that's heavy on your heart, repeat these 4 sentences with intention. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Over and over and over. And say these words. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Repeat over and over until you feel the energy lift and the universal laws of forgiveness take effect. It is so important to recognize how powerful our words are. Words are an energy and they create intentional spells. So, what kind of energy do you want to send and receive in return? What words have people spoken to you that you held on to? We should all strive to live by the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And to end this episode, I want to let you know that I did end up moving to that pinnacle location where I wanted to live in the north of San Diego County, Encinitas, Carlsbad area. I lived just a couple miles from the beach for an entire year. And although it really didn't turn out the way I thought it would, it was quite a healing time for me. My body remembered those words that church acquaintance had said to me years and years before, almost a decade before. I'd forgotten the words, but my body remembered. And when I got there, my body went in to soul healing mode, reminding me of all the ways that I believed I wasn't good enough or thin enough. All of those things that she had said, my body glopped onto because I already had that somewhat similar imprint in my energy field. Regardless, it was an amazing year. I was able to heal all kinds of wounds and finish writing this entire book and get it published. Although I believe we are already healthy, healed, and whole as we are, there's always another layer as we peel the onion into our psyches, into our energy fields, that's ready to become more harmonious with our Creator, more harmonious with our own personal values and our soul and our mission for why we came in here. I was not able to continue in many aspects of my life until this particular soul wound got healed 100%. And me moving to that location for a year took care of that and did that for me. Was it easy? No, no. But was it necessary? Absolutely. Am I thankful? 100%. So much gratitude on the other side. In it, it's a dark night of the soul. But on the other side, it is so beautiful, so freeing, so worth it to not numb myself anymore, to feel the emotions, to feel whatever it is that's ready to come up, and to allow and not resist. As you yourself remember that words are energy, whether you're speaking words to or about others, or whether you're receiving them, allow them to be of the utmost, highest, loving words for healing for all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please leave me a review and share this podcast with your friends. On the next episode, I'll be talking about one of my biggest challenges, managing my monkey mind. So if you have any questions about what we covered in the show today, or would like to follow my projects, you can find me at larajaye.com. And all the fun social media places, links are below. Have a fantastic week ahead, and may you always seek your wisdom within.